Hi everyone, welcome back to the Reclaimed Ranch. My name is Tara, and today we are going to do some thrift flips using Sonnet's Maker Box for the month of March. And so when you open the box, the first thing you see is this card, and it tells you a little inspiration quote. It has a QR code to scan, and it'll go to Sonnet's video that she's made, and kind of gives you some inspiration there, and then it tells you what's inside as well. So we'll have a couple of decoupage papers from Roycycle Treasures, 2 decoupage rice papers from Connie from the Painted Photographer, and then Sonnet always throws in a little bonus item. So she gave us a little cute bunny napkin this month. And then you get a sample of Sweet Pickins milk paint, and we have Completely Coral for this month. It's a really pretty color. It's kind of a rust color. And for Fusion, we have the color Damask, which is kind of like a dusty pink. And then Acadia Pear is one of their new colors for the year 2024. And then for the DIY paint, we have Water Lily, which is this really pretty kind of like a periwinkle blue color, and then Cake Batter, which is a really nice muted yellow, this is one of my favorites of the DIY. And so this one is called Spring Tartan. It's a very pretty plaid with the blues and greens. Very nice colors for the springtime. And then this one is called Old English Countryside, and it is beautiful. I love when Royce does these really big ones where you can put it on a big piece of furniture or something fun, can incorporate it on a big sign or something. So very, very pretty. Love the colors in there as well. Nice bright greens and blues. And then Connie from the Painted Photographer. If you don't know who she is, she always hand draws her images and then uses the DIY paint line to color them in, and then she makes her own rice paper. But look at this, you guys. This one is called Marshland Guardian, gorgeous blue heron, just beautiful. And then this one here is a multiple, and it is called Secrets of the Garden. And I love how she uses some of the wording, and it's already kind of a mixed media piece. And so for our first project, we're going to go in and we're going to do the blue heron. So this frame I bought from my friend Cindy from CNC DIY Factory. I love her frames, you guys. They are well made, very sturdy, and they come in different sections, so you can either use all of the pieces or you can use a couple of the pieces. And then she has a nice kickstand that she built into the back of this. So just really well worth it. So if you are looking for something like this to do your own DIY projects, you can order them off of her website, CNC DIY Factory. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a nice white background. So I'm using my Fusion Mineral Paint in Picket Fence. And I do carry all of the Fusion line on my website, as well as the Curated Cottage in Spokane, Washington. And then I'm going to go in with the cake batter. Now this is going to be the outer part of the frame. So I'm going to do one good coverage coat of the cake batter. I'm going to dry it down, and then the insert that goes underneath this, I'm going to use that really pretty water lily, and then I'm going to go ahead and I will seal that with Sweet Pickins top coat in matte. And Sonnet has all of these supplies from DIY, Sweet Pickins, Connie's lines and designs, which I also have. But you guys, these papers that we get in these boxes are exclusive to the box only. So you will not be able to go onto any of our websites and buy these just in a 1-pack or a 2-pack. you have to be a subscriber to the box. So I do have a way to get past being on a waiting list. In my description box, there is a link. It's an affiliate link to skip the wait line and directly go to Sonnet's Maker Box and be able to subscribe and order. It is a month-to-month subscription, and but I think you will find that these boxes are so fun and so amazing that you want to keep getting them month to month. So I am using my Fusions decoupage gel to go ahead and put this little guy on this backboard. And I'm going to put a nice even coat, and then I go and I mist the paper, and that way it's going to help me to get more flexibility out of the paper to get those air bubbles out. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going down, work my way down to the bottom, get all those air bubbles out. Then I'm going to make sure that this is completely dry before we go and glue the other pieces of the frame on top. So I'm going to go ahead and let this just sit overnight, let it dry completely, and then we will continue the next step. So I am going to be using my Titebond Quick and Thick to glue these on. This is my absolute favorite glue. Again, I do have an affiliate link on my description box. This is just, I think, a must-have. It dries clear. It has super strength for bonding. They do make a wood glue as well, but I find that I don't really need the wood glue because this one does just fine. So we're going to lay that first layer down, and then I'm going to go ahead and push it in, make sure that the glue squirts out. And then we'll put the cake batter on top of that. See, this is what I love, is I can either leave it like this or I can add another element to the top with Cindy's frames. That's just kind of the fun part. So I'm going to go ahead and layer it this time, and we'll put that on, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clamp it together and let it sit overnight. But I have some leftover leather that I'm going to use. That way my clamps won't make little marks into the frame. So if you have something like a soft piece of fabric or something you can put over before you clamp it, that's a good idea. And this has already been sealed. And so I'm going to go in with my Apothecary little letters, and I am going to stamp the Guardian on the bottom. And I'm using IOD's, I believe it is Ocean Deep is the color. It's a really pretty dark teal color. And so I'm using my little thin mount to help me gauge where I need to go so it's not so crooked. Okay, so we're on to project number 2. So I had this really cool glass bottle, a vase, I guess, and I'm going to go in with my Fusions Damask and give it 2 really good coats. Actually, I used 3 because I could, with the light, I could kind of see some of the brush marks. So I did do 3 coats, even though I didn't really need to, but I let them dry in between. And then we're going to use that fun little bunny that Sonnet gave us, that little tissue paper napkin. So with the napkins, when you're decoupaging, they are super brittle. So you got to be real careful. And I believe this was only a 1 ply, so you want to make sure to get those extra plies off the back of the napkin before moving on. And I am using the water technique to just trace around this cute little bunny, and then I'm going to tear it so I have a nice organic rip to it, and it's not just straight lines cut out. It's just my personal preference. I prefer to have more of an organic look. And so once I get this little guy out, then I will flip him over. It was actually probably easier. It would have been easier if I would have flipped it over first, painted the back of him white, and then did this step. But I'm just doing it backwards. It's fine. It still works anyway. So what I'm going to do is take some Fusion paint in white, and I'm going to paint him on the back side, and that way his colors will pop through on that dark pink background. And when I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and use my heat gun to dry it. I got to make sure to hang on to him because otherwise he would blow away. But once it's dry, then what I do is I take my decoupage gel and I just coat the back of him instead of the vase, and that way it's just going to get where I need it. And then I put him on there and then put my coat over the top and let him dry overnight. And then the next morning, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some Fusion's furniture wax in the color Espresso, and I am going to just go over the entire thing, and I'm going to try and make it look like there are brush strokes in it because I want it to have kind of a wood grainy look. Okay, this next one was a gift from Cindy from CNC DIY Factory. When I made an order with her, she sent me this cute little egg, and it has its own little easel and carrot. However, I am going to not use the carrot, but I am going to use the egg and the frame around it. And I thought showcasing Connie's Secrets of the Garden little flower that she has would be super cute. So we got to have our base. So I'm going to go in with my picket fence with Fusion and put one coat on there and then dry it with my heat gun. And then I'm going to just put one of the papers that has that flower on there, just kind of measure it. And I need to kind of just trace around where the excess is sticking out, and that way I can just cut those off and decoupage this guy on. I probably could have used scissors, it would have been faster, but I didn't want to get up. So I'm just going to tear it. And then, of course, we're going to go in with my decoupage transfer gel, just do the entire egg because this is such a small piece. It doesn't really need to be misted or anything like that. So then we're going to go ahead and let that completely dry. And then I'm going to go back in with that cake batter. It matches perfect with the flowers. I believe she probably used this color in there as well. And so I'm going to go in with the cake batter. I did 2 coats on this one and dried in between, and then I used the Fusion's Tough Coat Matte to seal this. And then of course I am going to use my Type Bond Quick and Thick to glue these guys together. And when that is all on there, I'm going to take the easel apart, and I love using my antiquing mixture, I call it. It's got antiquing wax, a little bit of black paint, and some water, and it makes a beautiful stain. So you see here I used a little artist brush to get the excess glue out of there. So this is that mixture that I have, and it's nice to make your own stain because then you can make it as dark or as light as you want it. It doesn't have harsh fumes, and it dries super fast. So there's not a huge waiting time, which I love. And this jar has actually lasted me probably, I would say, a year and a half, which is awesome. So definitely something to think about if you guys don't have your own stain. Just get an antiquing wax, probably from Walmart or something like that, a little bit of black paint and some water. And it's just awesome. So I'm going to do the back of the egg with the same. And then this little guy is done. Super cute. I want to thanks, Cindy, so much for giving me this cute little gift. And so we are on to project number 4. And this I bought at a thrift store. It is a signed piece from 1984, but you can't tell with my lighting. I'm sorry, but it has kind of like a peach color on the frame there, and I just wasn't loving it. So I'm going to go in with the Acacia pear, and I'm going to give it 2 good coats of Acacia pear, and then I'm going to let that dry, and I'm actually going to be using my milk paint from Fusion called Toasted Coconut because it's a really beautiful creamy color, kind of like what's in the florals, the watercolor florals in the back there. And I'm going to make it crackle so that this Acacia pear shows through. And you guys, it turns out just beautiful, just beautiful. It's so easy to just take an outdated picture. I loved the frame, loved the picture, just didn't love the color of the frame. And just give it a different color and you have yourself a brand new piece of artwork that you can put into your booths, or you can resell or use at home. So here's that Toasted Coconut. And if you've never used milk paint before, it's a dry powder, and you use 1 part powder, 1 part water. You mix it together for a couple minutes and let it sit for 10 minutes. And that's going to thicken up to like a consistency of a milkshake. And then I do need to definitely do 2 coats of this. So it is more of a watery based paint. So you'll have to kind of watch your little drip lines. Make sure that you keep wiping those back. But once you get the first coat on, you can either let it naturally dry, or you can force heat on it. And when you force the heat, it does make it crackle and chip a lot more, which is exactly what I was going for. So even with this first coat, I do use my heat gun, not like to force it to crackle, but just to make it dry faster. And then that second coat, if you put on a nice thick coat of paint, you're going to get gorgeous big crackles. So that's what I did. I went ahead and just quickly dried this first coat, and then with that second coat of paint, I went on with a heavy hand, and now I'm using my heat gun. Of course, this is sped up just a little bit, but if you go over it real slow, you can instantly start seeing that beautiful crackle come through and that Acacia pear. Now I'm taking, after I've done all of the heat gun parts, I'm taking my little sander, finger sander, and I am using it to smooth out the finish as well as take off the chippy parts and make that crackle come through. And you guys, with milk paint, you can get such a velvety smooth finish. It's just amazing. And I never tape my glass off. I'm too impatient for that. So what I do is I just use my scraper and a baby wipe, and it cleans it up way faster than having to worry about wasting tape and taping it down. But it's everybody's own preference. And then what I'm going to do to seal it in is I'm using my Fusion furniture wax in clear. And I'm going to give it a good coat of the clear wax and let it sit overnight, and then I'll buff it out tomorrow. And then this guy is done. Of course I cleaned the glass, but I'm really, really, really happy with how this turned out. So the final project for today is my favorite, my personal favorite. So I have a piece of wood here, a basket, and a large spindle. And then I'm going to be using the Sweet Pickins Milk Paint Completely Coral that came in the box. And I ended up actually changing my mind halfway through. So I'm using raw silk to paint this little base that I'm going to make for the spindle, because it is a big spindle and it's heavy. And if I have a basket on top, I want it to be able to support some weight. So this is just, I think, a 2x4. Piece of a 2x4, and I'm just going to paint it the raw silk, let it dry, and then we will screw it onto the base in just a minute. So the basket, I ended up doing the raw silk, but I'm just dry brushing it. And what I had initially planned was to have the basket kind of a dry brushed white and then do the milk paint on the base. But then I don't know, I was kind of thinking, and once I started painting the spindle, the raw silk, I was like, nope, we're going to switch it. And so then we end up doing the completely coral on the basket. I dry brushed that on with the milk paint. And this time of year, the spring is supposed to be more pastels and more brighter colors. And with this pretty rusty color, I wanted to tone it down a little bit. So I ended up then using white wax over that completely coral, and it came out this super pretty, like purpley pink color, which I absolutely love. And it's perfect for spring. So just because you have one color doesn't mean you need to end in that color. You can always kind of mix up the colors and make your own. So what we're going to do is we are going to put a full coat of raw silk on the spindle, and then I'm going to actually do some fun IOD transfers up that spindle of florals and stuff. So it's pretty cool the way this turned out. So again, with the milk paint, you can go ahead and do 1 part milk paint, 1 part water, mix it up really well, let it sit for a little bit, thicken up, and then go ahead and brush it on.
Headlights on the highway, if you only knew. Being back here always makes me think of you. When the world is sleeping, do you think of me? With the road it's coming back again, coming back to me. I remember the long drives, the late nights in your car. I remember it all. Windows down, empty streets, you were all I used to know. You and I, forever, forever ago. And you used to drive me home. Now I drive alone. You and I, forever, forever, forever ago. This town's so quiet, this time of year. With a road ahead's coming back again, coming back to me. I remember the long drives, the late nights in your car. I remember it all. Windows down, empty streets, you were all I used to know. You and I, forever, forever ago. And you used to drive me home. Now I drive alone.
Isn't that such a fun color? I love how that turned out. I'm just going to wipe back the excess wax there, and now it's time to put things together. So we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of the Titebond Quick and Thick. I'm going to put some screws through the center of the bottom and screw that down. I actually ended up doing 2 screws just for more stability, and then the glue should help once it hardens with that as well. So these you can put a plant in, you can put, I love to hang like a really piece of nice lace over the edge of it, or a blanket, and then put some books and decor in there as well. So here we're just going to rub on our IOD transfers, and this gets a little finicky. So because of all of these, ins and outs of this, you have to just go real slow and make sure to bend your transfer all the way in and kind of just go with the flow on that. So just go real slow, take your time, and then you'll get the perfect outcome. And so I'm just gonna have fun with this and put some florals all the way up, all the way around, and then we're gonna seal it in with some Fusion Matte Tough Coat Sealer, and it'll be done. Okay, so here they are in their glory. Let me know what one was your favorite, but I just love these boxes. They're just a fun thing for me. As a creator, it's just something that I like to invest in because it's something special for me. So a lot of these projects I actually end up keeping for myself instead of reselling because they are so exclusive and rare. But yeah, I do have a lot of fun every month. I'm excited to see what the colors will be, and it's fun because you can get colors that you normally wouldn't buy and be able to play with them. So like I said, you can go ahead and skip the wait list if you want and use my affiliate link in the description box below. And all the Fusion products you can find on my website at thereclaimedranch.com. And all of the other products are on sonnetsgardenblooms.com. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we will see you next Friday. Bye.